Today's video is sponsored by BetterHelp.com, and I've been with them for a long time. BetterHelp is an online platform where we found that you can effectively communicate with your therapist. Now, you begin by filling out a questionnaire, and then you'll be matched with a therapist within a couple of days. And if that match isn't ideal for you, you can certainly make an adjustment there. Now, you're going to be encouraged to journal, and also they have the availability for group therapy on a wide array of topics, and I really like that. So as the need exists, go ahead and take the necessary steps to get the help that you need. And just know that BetterHelp has a 4.5 rating on Trustpilot, so it indeed is a platform you can trust. There's a link below the video that will take you there. Hey, Team Healthy. I'm glad to be here with you on our next episode of Unbound. Before we get into our topic, you may have noticed that Gus has some company back there. This is Gus's cousin, Millie, and Millie's staying with us a couple of days. My sister-in-law and brother-in-law are out of town, so look who's staying with us. So, Millie, welcome to the broadcast. I hope Gus is going to be okay sharing the stage with her. Today we're going to be talking about a topic that I know that most of you have had to deal with. That is one of those things that can just absolutely drive you crazy. Let's suppose that you're in a situation where the narcissist has been completely inappropriate. And it's not even a question of whether they have done wrong or not, but there it is. And so you try to call them out. You talk with them about it and you say, hey, look, we need to be open about this. We need to get to the bottom of it. And what they do is they flip it around and they say, no, you've got it all wrong. Let me explain to you. Has that ever happened with you? Now, the most clever trick that a narcissist is going to use when you try to call them out is they're going to flip the narrative back around toward you and turn themselves into the victim, and you're going to be in the villain's role. It's one of the classic things that they do, and it's maddening. Now, I've got a couple of illustrations here. I got a question, then I have a comment from a woman here that just shows it just in live Technicolor that illustrates how they do this, and let's see if we can make sense of this. The first person writes in and says, how do narcissists manage to hide their vulnerability? Yet they are Academy Award-winning actors at playing the victim. What are the distinctions between being vulnerable versus being a victim? Okay, great question. So what you have here is, first of all, this individual says, the narcissist in my life, they don't want to let anybody know where they struggle. They hide their vulnerability. But then when you say, well, I see a struggle of yours, and I can see that this was not appropriate, or you didn't manage this well, or this was not your finest hour, then they, like I said, an Academy Award, it's like, you're making my life miserable, aren't you? Okay, let's answer the question, and then we'll go a little bit deeper with a different illustration. When you're talking about healthy vulnerability, and somebody's saying, we need to talk, we have some issues here that need to be discussed, the healthy person is going to say, you know what, let's be open. And the number one ingredient that they would bring to the equation would be honesty. I want to hear everything that you have to say, and I want to be honest about who I am, and let's see if we can get all the cards out on the table. In addition, in a healthy situation where you're trying to talk about problems, you don't have a sense of one up and one down. There's an equality there. You have your thoughts, I have my thoughts, you have your humanity, I have mine. Let's just go ahead and have that sense of equalness, in the sense that we're all in this together. So the more that we can pool our resources and insights, then we can assist each other. Also, part of that healthy vulnerability means that there's a sense of mutuality. And then beyond that, it's just common sense. Everybody makes mistakes. And then, including you, including the narcissist. And so the vulnerable person is going to say, well, I know if you're going to hang around with me long enough, you're going to find some of the mistakes that I make, and I'll find out yours. Let's just see if we can go into that space with one another. The person, though, that plays the role of the false victim doesn't do any of that. Now, keep in mind that narcissists have to be in control, and they live behind the shield of the false self. These individuals, when you call them out, they interpret that as rejection. When you say this happened and it was not what I was expecting and there's some problems here that we need to go into, they're thinking, I'm going to be left out. Nobody's going to like me. You're rejecting me right now. They fear looking foolish because they're going to have to say, yes, I was wrong. And so these are fear-based individuals. But then on top of that, they're also shame-based individuals. They know that there's a system of judgment that this world is built upon, or at least their world is built upon. And if they start admitting some of their faults or problems or difficulties, their humanity, they're going to feel like they're not a somebody. They've lost their significance. Now, I've actually jotted down sometimes through my counseling practice some illustrations of when people can refuse to be vulnerable, and then they'll flip it around and make themselves the victim when it's absolutely absurd. For example, let's suppose you catch that person in a lie. The victim is going to say, well, the reason I told a lie is because you can't handle the truth. Or let's suppose the narcissist had some wild anger. Well, as the victim, the narcissist is going to say, well, none of this would have happened. I wouldn't have gotten angry had you just been appropriate in the first place. Or if they're passive aggressive and non-cooperative, as the victim, the narcissist is going to say, well, why would I want to cooperate with you anyway? Because you always have to do everything your way. Or if they've had an extramarital affair, the victim can say, well, the affair wouldn't have happened had you been a more appropriate partner to me. None of this would have occurred. If they scream at the kids, it's the kids' fault. Well, I'm trying to be a nice parent, but the kids are being unruly. If they mismanage money, it's because, well, somebody cheated me or they lied to me. They didn't tell me the whole truth. Or if they refuse to let you know what their plans are, it's like, well, I don't want you telling me what to do. All of this is their gaslighting. It's their manipulation. And I want you to remember our DARVO acronym, DARVO. Deny, attack, reverse the role of victim and offender. Deny, attack, reverse the role of victim and offender. That's what they do, and it's part of their way of trying to say, I have to be in control. Now, let's take this and go to another question that you all have sent in. Another person says, I'm 70 years old. My mother is a narcissist who caused untold pain and confusion as I was growing up. I was maybe 50 when I finally understood that it wasn't me and never was, but that she was deeply flawed. I had anger for more than a decade. I know that confronting a narcissist is pointless because, in my case, she's not capable of introspection and she feeds off of your pain with the same old, same old. However, and this is where this person came in, concluded, the most healthy thing that I've ever done was to call her out for a lifetime of an intentional desire to wound. You know, sometimes you have this person who's going to pull that Darvo stunt and they're going to try to reverse roles. I'm the victim. Look what you've done to me. And even when their errors are so gross and so inappropriate, at some point you just need to hear yourself stand up and say, you're wrong. Or I'm not going to go along with this, or this is not something that I want in my life at all, or I know that you have a very different perspective, but I feel so strongly about where I am, I'm not going to budge. I mean, at some point you just need to say it, knowing full well the narcissist will not. Now, in this case, the woman said, my mother will feed off of your pain. In other words, if I say, I'm struggling with the way that you've treated me, then she can come back and say, well, I wouldn't have treated you in a bad sort of way anyway. Had you been more cooperative, or if you'd have been more of a loving, appreciative daughter. That's the feeding off of her pain and then turning around and shaming her. When in fact, what she's saying is, I'm too weak to be able to say, if you're struggling as an adult daughter, I need to take a hard look at my role in that. And if you have some things about me that you want me to examine, here she is. Obviously, she must be at a very late stage in her life. If the daughter is 70 years old, then I'd like to see if we can go to the finish line with more of a sense of honesty and mutual regard. She can't do it. And you can see that when the person goes into this kind of I'm the victim, you're still the offender, no matter how inappropriate they are, what they're saying is I have to feel like I'm still in control. When in fact, well, can you realize your life and then my subsequent life with you is already out of control? They can't admit the obvious. Also, when these individuals do this, it's like, but if I'm vulnerable, if I open up and say, yes, I am problematic, that means I lose power. And they forget. Okay. Relationships are not about power. They're about mutuality. They're about our interconnectedness and our willingness to share in our humanity. But basically, they're too shame-based. They're too embarrassed to say, I'm actually just a regular part of the human race, just like everybody else. If you stick around with me long enough, you're going to find my faults. I'll be open about it. I want to receive your input because you see I'm in a growth mode. Narcissists are not in a growth mode. They're still that 8-year-old or 10-year-old or 12-year-old child who's looking for somebody to blame. So I'm hoping you can realize that when this happens, particularly on a repetitive basis, you're dealing with somebody who has to stay in this victim's position because they're fixated at a time of personal development where they can't just simply say, I've got a lot of work to do in myself. I have a lot of introspection that I need to kick into to play with. And count on me. I want to do that with you. And if you can assist me, I think that would be wonderful. Healthy relationships, we want each other's input. We know that we're connected in such a way where we need one another in an honest and encouraging kind of way. And when the narcissist plays this clever little trick of taking your confrontation and then turning themselves into a victim, even when the evidence is overwhelming that they're terribly inappropriate, know that you're dealing with an incredibly toxic person. And that being the case, this is not someone that can be on your inner circle with you. Just know that and then move beyond. So I'm hoping that you can decide, well, I'm going to be the healthy person here, no matter how unhealthy that other individual chooses to be. Now, you know that in our Unbound series, I received questions from you and comments from you. And so thank you to these people who have sent these in. If you have some questions or comments of your own, please put them in the comments section. And who knows, you may be part of one of our episodes down the road. If you haven't already hit that subscribe button, please do so. I appreciate you allowing me to be on your journey with you. Now, you know that I'm a retired therapist now, but I'm a huge believer in therapy. If you're dealing with something like this, and you think, I could use somebody that can help me unravel this. There may be a therapist in your area that could help you, but if not, or if you prefer differently, we have a team of there at BetterHelp.com of online licensed professional therapists. You can go through the link that we have below the video and get the assistance that would be warranted. Please invest in yourself and do the work so that you can be that healthy person that they're not. Now, I would also invite you to visit my website. It's an enormous website with like hundreds of articles, and we have access to videos, etc. On the website, we have my courses. There's a tab there that says that, and each course is like 25 plus videos with handouts and guided questions, 25 teaching videos per course. We have anger games. This is me about boundaries, free to be, finding yourself despite the controllers, ready, set, connect, about having healthy connections. We also have my webinars that are 90-minute PowerPoint presentations, along with many articles and my books. So lots of resources. Okay, when you're dealing with somebody who says, let's flip the script, I've actually victimized you, but I'm going to play the role of the victim. Know that you're up against somebody that or dealing with somebody that's terribly immature. Don't play their game. Trust in yourself. Establish those boundaries. Establish your firmness. And whatever they try to do to put their problems onto you, that's not your burden to carry. Instead, I'm hoping you can have your own sense of openness and decency with those who know what to do with it in reverse. And in the process, that's where you're going to be able to find your steadiness and your peace.